gangsters. Damn, Hall. That was my bird. Like this. Don't get it. Drop the verse.